Well, hello there. Good morning. Today I'm going to pour one of the apes, one of the lawgiver statues. I'm going to put cement in the mold, but first I got to prepare that mold. So let's go on inside and get that done. I've taken the mold outside and I've gotten most of the big chunks of cement and stuff off of the rim so that it's not going to be falling in the material. And then I've also gone in and I've sprayed with a mix of alcohol and cod liver. No, it's castor oil, and alcohol, which is your mold release. But it also helps clean. You can use it to clean and kind of wipe out any of the dust and things like that. So I kind of spray it in, wipe it out with a cloth, and get all the pieces of dust and stuff out. And then come back in again and give it a light coat and just kind of spread it around with my hands and make sure that it feels like every surface has been touched with the release. So now that I've got that cleaned up, I'm going to bring over my mother mold. I didn't have a bunch of leakage last time, so that's great, because sometimes I get a little right there. So the piece goes in and it's going to drop right into basically where it sat when it was being molded. I just press in and make sure that I've got it all seated and all around. It's touching inside the mold and seated properly. Okay, so once I do that, you can see the whole wound just kind of almost snaps shut on its own here. So now what I'm going to do is come in with this surgical tape. Which is this lovely waterproof tape. Where is it? There it is. From Band-Aid brand. Band-Aid, send me rolls of this, please. I need it. It's hard to find. I'm having trouble with it. So I'm going to start at the top of his head and just kind of pinch that gap shut and then tape it down. And this waterproof tape does a really nice job of gripping onto this latex. It doesn't do any kind of damage to it, but it definitely secures it long enough for me to get it, with material into it at least. So I'm just going to work my way up very slowly and carefully. I'm trying to keep as low a profile with the tape, have it mesh, lay flat as I go up the line, and just keep pulling that wound shut. All that surface I can get touching is gonna help it adhere. Nice smooth. Trying to keep that nice and smooth there. Oh, my tape rolled away. Here, come here. Grabbed. It looked like they did pretty nice. So now take the other half of the sarcophagus. Put it right over as gently as possible so I don't dislodge any of what I just did with that seam. Just kind of let it wiggle down into place. Now, from my experience, I could just pour this right now the way it is, but just to be double sure, I also go around the seam and seal. You can see along this, there's a crack right along here between the two pieces of the mother mold. And what I do is rub wax into that, and I'll show you right now. Basically, fill that seam with wax. And this is good old surfboard wax that I just happen to have around because I like to surf. So I just kind of rub that in, and you can see it just kind of fills that gap right in. I just kind of rub the wax and just fill that gap in. Get a little material in there and just push it in, and just make sure I have a good seal all the way around in case anything does leak inside. It's not going to, all my material's not going to run out of the mold or any dramatic bullshit like that. And I'm just going through and Just visually making sure I've got that gap filled. It goes pretty quickly, you know, just kind of run down the seam with the wax. Alright. It's basically just like erasing that little crack there. That's pretty much it. So get that bad boy outside, I guess. I've done, basically I have it now in my pouring area, and I've got it situated for basically how I want it to stand once it's been poured, which is straight up and down. And I also have it so that I can tip this forward as I fill the material in, because I want it to go down into, see, down in there, all the way down to his head. So I want to get that so that I can get air clear from that face and all those features down there low. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to put some more clips on it just to be safe. Again, I don't think it's going to leak. It's got a really great seam inside the mother mold, but the one time you don't do it is the one time something's going to go wrong. So not on my watch, brother. Not on my watch, brother. Okay, so hold that up a little bit, and let's go get some cement. Got a couple of nice buckets here. This one, pretty clean. This one should do nicely for sand. It looks like it's already got sand in it. I do need to get some water. Okay. I kind of pre-mix this stuff a little. This is the dry cement and the gravel. I'm going to kind of drive my down to the bottom of it, just like so. I need my bowl of rock and roll. Wet stuff moving a little bit here before I get the sand going. Alright, then I can start adding sand. See, woo, that's moving really kludgy and slow, so I'm going to add some water to it because I want a looser mix to pour into this mold. So, a little more water in there. You can see that's really stiff. That's what she said. A little more water. Still too dry. Really gotta get. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now I need my bowl again. So I got my mix nice here. I'm going to start getting some of this material in first into the right into that head area there. Now I'm just going to kind of pour it down the length there. And once I get that material in and I can see it's definitely filled the head, I'm going to bring it down, give it a nice shake. I'm going to stand it up and give it a nice wiggle and shake too, and then stand it back up and get some more material back in there. Okay, so big. Get get that in. Don't want it all over my mold. And I'm getting up to a place where I know there's some places that air tends to hang, so giving it another wiggle. Kind of put it on its side a little bit, put it on its side a little bit, shaking it. This is just kind of physically hard work to do. Gotta say, kind of old. And now I can probably get pretty close to just filling this up. Get the material in there. Do another big wiggle. I'm doing everything I can to give any air bubbles a chance to shake loose, run out. That's the idea. I can go the rest of the way to the top with this. Just here over. Found. That's pretty close. Alright, so I've got all my material in there. I'm gonna give that another little shake. It'll start to actually surface laying in on these things pretty fast, so you gotta be careful that you're not breaking stuff inside. That's fucking heavy. Alright, well, so needs a little bit more, but I need to get my other mold that I'm gonna pour as well. I've got another plaque, so let me bring that out. All right, this other little piece I found a little extra material. I wasted. I'm gonna put it right into this bad boy here. Give somebody a nice plaque for this. This is a great way to use my scrap material. Anything wasted, I can get a little bit of money out of every bag of every bit of cement that I mix. I should, because it's hard ass work. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. It's a little crooked. I need to get a little spacer here. I've got those. Perfect. Perfect. Great. Okay. Good. So now I've got these both full and topped off. You can see they've got a nice smooth surface there. I'm trying to get the rock salt to lay down underneath on this one. It'd be nice to have a flat surface there. While this is still wet, I have basically a little hanger, little piece of wire basically that's just bent into a hanger shape, and then it's embedded right into the cement while it's still wet. I've got a little mark on my outside of my mold that tells me where that should line up. That goes into an area of the sculpt that's thicker, so it's more structurally sound. And you can see over here our ape mold is really very nice and full, just over the top of that line, but it'll sink down a little bit. Some of the water will sink down, and it changes. Concrete does a lot of crazy shit. But that's it. These are basically, now will sit until they are cured and ready to go. And then of course my last step is to cover my molds, especially any areas with latex. I don't want any of the latex showing in the sun, in daylight, in full sunlight, none of that. It needs to be kept out of the sun. UV radiation just murders your latex. So you got to keep it out of there. So I have this basically a nice board that just sits on top, covers all the latex, everything else is buried inside. And this guy here, just throw a couple of little slats on top so that none of that devil's sun is touching my baby molds. No, not this day, sir. Not today, Satan. There you go, just like that. So we'll check back to those in about, oh boy, yeah, 18 to 24 hours.